Welcome back. We've really been appreciating your questions, and it's time for Ask Anything. Now, Miss Hartshorn, we've got a great question for you today, and I want you to think about this. Now, I'm going to say it slowly so we could grasp the fullness of it. I feel a lot of guilt for outliving some of my friends that may have not been saved. What should I do?
Well, you know what? That's a real question. That's a real often experience in people's lives. And I think acknowledging that the pain of not only losing your friend, but the painful reality that without Jesus, they are lost, and they are not with Christ. I think the sad truth of this is there's nothing that you can do after someone dies. And that is the sobering reality that Jesus came to save us, and that we as believers are called in this life to share the gospel and to share our faith. But here is the hopeful thing. We don't want to get stuck in guilt. You see, guilt can hold us stuck, or guilt can actually move us forward. So my challenge would be don't stay there. It's never too late to share the gospel. So why don't you share the gospel now with those who are around you, with those that you love, and share the truth of who Jesus is now. Maybe the Spirit's prompting you now just so that you would respond. God does know people's hearts, that we don't always know people's hearts. And I find that Jeremiah, a wonderful verse, Jeremiah 17:9-10 says this: "The heart is hopelessly dark and deceitful, a puzzle that no one can figure out. But I, God, search the heart and examine the mind. I get to the heart of the human, and I get to the root of things. I treat them as they really are, not as they pretend to be." So, God does know your heart and your friend's heart, but I would say use that guilt and that angst in your life to share the gospel today. Brian, I've got a question for you. How long should I wait for an answer to prayer?
Oh, wow. I think every one of us could identify with wanting a prayer answered and being antsy at the same time. Not having ants in our pants, but ants in our head. Automatic negative thinking syndrome that comes up. Now, the reality is this: you've got to wait. And no one is exempt from the waiting, but you got to recognize you have two choices. You could either wait expectant, or you could wait with a sense of passivity. Now, if you wait with passivity, you're not going to see the results of that, because if you expect nothing, you get nothing. But if there is an expectant heart, God will come through with what he says. Now, I want you to also understand that Acts 16:25-26, it talks about Paul and Silas, and they were waiting, but they were expectant. So they started singing, and they sang, "This is the day that the Lord has made." And it's at about midnight, at that 11:59 hour, God answered, and all the doors were open. So I want you to be in a attitude of gratitude of saying, I'm going to wait expectantly, and at the same time, not passively.
That's great, Brian. Well, we'll be right back.